Thanks for joining us here on the CBN News Channel. I'm Ephraim Graham. The White House is beset by a trio of scandals. Controversial actions by the IRS, the State Department, and Attorney General Eric Holder have President Obama in full damage control. President Obama's second-term agenda is quickly being overshadowed by a steady stream of congressional investigations, from Benghazi to the IRS targeting conservative groups, to the Justice Department seizing of Associated Press phone records. The president is working to get out ahead of the scandals, bearing down on the White House. He spoke to the nation Wednesday, taking the IRS scandal head-on by announcing the acting commissioner would resign.
I will not tolerate this kind of behavior in any agency, but especially in the IRS, given the power that it has and the reach that it has in all of our lives.
The president's announcement comes after days of being hammered by outraged Republicans.
My question is, who's going to jail?
Attorney General Eric Holder told Congress the scandal is being investigated.
The FBI is coordinating with the Justice Department to see if any laws were broken. I think, as everyone can agree, if not criminal, they were certainly outrageous and unacceptable.
Even Democrats are criticizing the president, accusing him of being too passive and not responding quickly enough to the scandals. The White House insists President Obama had no prior knowledge of the IRS scandal, but there's a long history of presidential abuses involving this agency. Political analyst James Bovard wrote in the Wall Street Journal that the IRS has been often used for political purposes in administrations from Franklin Roosevelt to John F. Kennedy to Richard Nixon. Former IRS Commissioner Stephen Miller appears before a congressional committee Friday. Just the beginning of a long string that could easily lead to a long, hot summer in Washington for the administration. And joining us now with more in this story is Dan Gaynor, Vice President of Business and Culture at the Media Research Center. Dan, what was the initial response by the media to the Tea Party scandal, and have we seen a change?
Well, the media got very upset about Benghazi, and so that happened. The Tea Party, the IRS scandal landed right on top of that. They got a little concerned, and then they've gotten progressively more. That scandal blew up right as the AP scandal hit, putting the media on a very adversarial situation, at least briefly, with the administration. So that story has escalated in a big way. It is widely considered. Chuck Todd from NBC was talking last night. It's definitely the scandal the administration has to squash because it's really got legs. It's something easily understood, I think, by the American public.
Now, you believe the Obama administration is starting to lose support from the major media. What examples are you seeing?
Well, at least for now, because, the media are fickle. That could easily change. But right now, all the media are, turn on ABC, CBS, NBC, or look at the front pages of most of the nation's top newspapers. You see at least the IRS scandal. In some cases, you'll see the Benghazi scandal. And in the top papers, you're also seeing the government's investigation of the Associated Press. That's a bad trifecta for the government because it puts them not only in a difficult situation where they're seen as investigating their opponents just like Richard Nixon, but they're seen at war with the press, again, just like Richard Nixon.
On the case of the IRS, do you think we would see even more media interest if the IRS had targeted groups with words like progressive or liberal in their names?
If George Bush had investigated left-wing groups with the IRS, or even if it had happened under his administration, the media would be going absolutely bonkers. There are almost no words for how many stories and how extravagant the attacks would be on the administration. But at least they are covering this. They are going and interviewing, as the Washington Post did today, talking to people who went through the mill with this, who had groups that were trying to become nonprofits and either, in some cases, many cases, gave up because the administration was so difficult to deal with and asked so many intrusive questions.
Well, as you said just a moment ago, these scandals are bringing up repeated references to the Nixon era. Do you think the press will go after Obama like they went after Nixon?
No, absolutely not. But one thing is different than that era. There is an existing conservative media out there. It's not huge, but there's enough of it that it might be able to sustain the story a little bit. We've shown how that can happen with Gosnell. So I think conservative media feels a little bit more emboldened to be aggressive here, to go do some digging. You saw whether it was The Blaze or some other outlets, certainly our own CNSnews.com, have all moved this story forward.
Well, Dan, the Obama administration is actually known for its hostility toward the press. Why have they covered for him all these years?
Well, Obama administration's hostility to the press goes back to before he even became president, when he kicked off reporters off the campaign plane because their newspaper endorsed his opponent. But they continue to stick with him because they adore not just Obama and his policies, they adore the Obama story. Any journalist can look at the Obama story and say anybody can grow up to be president. It's a good story. But when they're directly investigated, when they're directly lied to, as they were with the Benghazi talking points, no self-respecting journalist is going to take kindly to that.
Indeed. Now, you point out that the Washington Post is even tying Eric Holder to the AP subpoena scandal. Could we see top officials lose their jobs over these scandals?
Well, Obama threw the easy one under the bus yesterday, getting rid of the temporary head of the IRS, who, by all appearances, lied to Congress, which last time I checked, that could put him in legal jeopardy. Eric Holder is the guy most on the firing line. Journalists hate the AP investigation for all that he's trying to say. He's got hands off. He still gets caught up in that one. Beyond that, I tell you, the person who's most vulnerable right now is Jay Carney. Jay Carney's open lies to the press corps make him vulnerable for one reason. He's an easy guy to replace and get a short-term respite from the media and get a reset button with the press.
All right, Dan.
Get rid of him and have a little clear sailing.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. We're out of time right now, but we appreciate you.
Thank you. Looking forward to talking again.
All righty. Thanks. The White House is trying to fight Republican claims of a cover-up by releasing secret emails about the Benghazi scandal. The emails were written after terrorists killed the U.S. ambassador and 3 other Americans in Libya 8 months ago. The Obama administration was trying to figure out what to tell the American people. Republicans have been asking since then why the administration refused to admit it was a terrorist attack and why former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's department did not improve security in Benghazi despite the growing threats. The emails show the State Department wanted words like al-Qaeda and terrorism removed from the talking points. They also deleted CIA warnings about terror threats in Benghazi. The U.S. military is facing a big crisis. The amount of sexual harassment and abuse within the armed services is reaching alarming new highs. Now the Pentagon is stepping in and cleaning house, demanding sweeping new changes. Another high-profile sexual assault case for the military. This comes only a week after an Air Force officer working in a sexual prevention office was arrested and charged with sexual battery. The latest suspect is a sergeant working out of Fort Hood, Texas. He, too, was working with a sexual harassment assault prevention program. Now he's under investigation for allegedly forcing at least one soldier into prostitution and sexually assaulting 2 others. Secretary of Defense Chuck Hagel says he's outraged and disgusted by the amount of sexual abuse in the military.
Sexual assault is a despicable crime and one of the most serious challenges facing this department.
After this latest incident, Hagel's making an unprecedented move. He's ordering all of the military sexual assault prevention coordinators and military recruiters be retrained, recredentialed, and rescreened. A statement released by the Pentagon read in part, "I cannot convey strongly enough Secretary Hagel's frustration, anger, and disappointment over these troubling allegations and the breakdown in discipline and standards they imply." The Defense Department recently released alarming statistics on sexual assault. Its annual report shows there's been a 6% increase of sexual assault in the military since 2011. Deadly tornadoes killed at least 6 people in North Texas overnight, and emergency officials warn that death toll is likely to rise as crews search through shattered homes. Granbury was the hardest hit town with 3 confirmed twisters just southwest of Fort Worth. The storms dropped heavy rain and hail the size of grapefruits in some areas. Many homes were destroyed and hundreds of people were injured, but survivors say they're still thankful just to be alive.
Then all of a sudden things just started swirling, and you could see stuff going all through the air, the tin roofs, Stuff started hitting the house.
Luckily, we made it, but, there's people missing still.
The number of tornadoes has been well below average so far this year, but forecasters say that trend may be coming to an end. A judge sentenced abortion doctor Kermit Gosnell to a third life sentence Wednesday. Earlier this week, Gosnell was convicted of first-degree murder in the deaths of 3 babies who were born alive at his clinic in Philadelphia. His 3 life sentences offer no chance at parole, and that means the 72-year-old will spend the rest of his life in prison. Jurors said that Gosnell's greed played a big part in their decision. Vermont could become the next state to legalize physician-assisted suicide. The House has approved a bill that would permit doctors to prescribe a lethal dose of medication to terminally ill patients. The bill will now go before Governor Peter Schulman, who a strong supporter of the legislation. If passed, Vermont would join Oregon, Washington, and Montana to adopt such a measure. Opponents are concerned the law could eventually target the disabled as well as the elderly. Coming up, tens of thousands of Muslim refugees are fleeing Syria's civil war. You might be surprised to learn who's helping them.
Today we're on a field trip to discover what inflation is doing to our paper money. In this hand is a $20 bill, and in this hand is a $20 U.S. gold coin. They used to have the same buying power, but how much can they buy today? In this first basket is what my $20 bill buys: milk, bread, peanut butter, and jelly. And here's what one $20 gold coin will buy: 6 baskets full, worth nearly $2,000, almost 100 times more food, simply by owning gold dollars instead of paper dollars. History shows that the gold coins have been the best way to beat the rising cost of living. So class, the moral is that unless you want to live on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in the future, you should turn some paper dollars into gold coins now. How and why is explained in a new book, The Great Debasement. Call the number below for a totally free copy. And that's the simple truth.
Help! If an emergency happened right now, you can have help at the push of a button with Medical Alert.
Remember when I took that fall, Mary?
Oh, yes, that was terrible.
Yes, it was. Help! And I thought, what if you hadn't been there? I ordered my Medical Alert the next day.
I can't describe how safe I feel now with my Medical Alert. You didn't know I was wearing it, did you?
Medical Alert is easy to install, waterproof, and covers you inside your home and out.
It helps me feel safe from fires, break-ins.
And of course, a Medical Alert. And if you don't have a home phone, don't worry. They have that covered.
There's always help at the push of a button. Don't wait till you need it.
Get Medical Alert for less than $1 a day. There are no long-term contracts. Order now and get your second button free. Call for your free brochure.
For your free Medical Alert system with second button free, call 800-575-8507.
The UN General Assembly called for a political transition in Syria and condemned the Assad regime for its use of heavy weapons in populated areas. The UN approved an Arab-backed resolution calling for a change in leadership. The U.S. and 106 other nations supported the resolution, which is not legally binding. More than 70,000 people have died in Syria's 2-year civil war, and hundreds of thousands of refugees have fled to Turkey, Jordan, Lebanon, and Iraq. Christians in those countries are reaching out to help those refugees. Jack Shiflett of the Association of Baptists for World Evangelism recently visited the region. He spoke with CBN's George Thomas about what he saw there.
Can you describe the living conditions of these refugees and tell us what their needs are?
The living conditions are terrible. You're talking about 1/4 of the population of Syria, they're estimating, is outside of their own borders. And then within the country, they're talking about 5.5 million displaced people. So their lives, their homes are destroyed. They're in terrible conditions. They have need of everything. Some have been on long journeys. A mother with 6 or 7 children would actually hike for miles and miles to cross the border to find refugee space or some hope, at least to get away from the violence.
There are Christian humanitarian groups and relief workers on hand. Tell us about their work and the impact that they're having.
Give you an idea of what we're running into. 80,000 people have been killed in the last 2 years. So that's the size of the city of Youngstown, Ohio. That would mean every man, woman, and child in that town killed and traumatized and fleeing out there somewhere. So that's what we're finding. The local churches, maybe a local church of 50 to 70 people, will be caring for 700. And they don't ask any questions about their religious faith or their ethnic backgrounds. And this is something that is absolutely astounding for the region.
And in ordinary circumstances, these people might be considered as enemies, yet they're reaching out to help. Why?
Absolutely. They would be the enemies. Most Christian minorities live in fear and anger. That would be the way they look at it because their countries have been destroyed. They're a minority. They have all of that pressure, lack of rights. But we've seen God work in the life of the church, so they take the spirit of Christ and they see, like the Good Samaritan, just a fellow human being suffering, and they've reached out to them. And they do it in the name of Christ. And it's interesting that sometimes when they're ministering to these people, they will say, you know we're not Christians, right? Because they have no category for this kind of love. And Christians pause and they say, let us explain to you who this God is who cares for you. And they are absolutely amazed. They pray with them and they said, God cares about us. He's not a God who is distant, but cares about our lives. So they're coming to the services. They're listening week after week to the good news as a result of this work.
Our CBN reporters have been on the ground in the region reporting on the refugee crisis and the Christian response. To see those stories, go to our website, cbnnews.com. Up next, Truth Unlocked, the new ministry that explains the mysteries of the Islamic faith and how to minister to Muslims.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
Boko Haram terrorists are believed to be responsible for the murder of a popular Pentecostal pastor in Nigeria. Fayapama was the secretary of the Christian Association of Nigeria Northeast Zone. Stephanos Foundation Director Mark Libdo says the pastor was killed in Borno State Tuesday afternoon.
Gunmen climbed his fence and got into his house and shot him down. You know, the sect says they're out for Christians. Being in that position, being so vocal, he must have been a very marked man.
Libdo says the pastor had several college-age children and one in secondary school. He asked Christians pray for the pastor's widow and children and for Nigerian Christians who are living under intense persecution. Now, to hear more of Libdo's interview, log on to the Global Lane blog at cbnnews.com. The Boston Marathon tragedy and other terror attacks has led some Americans to fear their Muslim neighbors. Now, one group is reminding Christians we're called to minister to Muslims. A Christian DVD series is teaching people about Islam and helping them replace fear with love. It's all being done with the help of former Muslims. Gary Lane has more.
Most Muslim immigrants come to North America for educational and economic opportunities. Others come to escape oppression. On a rare occasion, some, like the Tsarnaev brothers, harm the nation that has welcomed them. Wajdi Iskander is a former Muslim from Sudan.
Suddenly, when they come here, they change. They change to be fanatic.
Government can only do so much to protect us from Islamic fanaticism. So how should we respond beyond praying for our nation? A new Christian DVD teaching series called Truth Unlocked provides spiritual and educational responses.
I think it's going to help our nations, our countries, to be well equipped to deal with terrorism and to also deal with the people here that we need to take care of, the Muslim people that God brought here for us to give them the gospel right here.
The Truth Unlocked DVD series provides an understanding of Islamic religious beliefs. Tim Clemens is co-producer of Truth Unlocked.
This came about with just our kids interacting with other Muslim kids within their school, and I felt very ill-equipped and ignorant towards another culture that had moved in.
El Hayat Woman's talk show host Amani Mustafa appears on the Truth Unlocked DVD. She is a former Muslim who says Westerners should understand Islamic culture before establishing a relationship with a Muslim.
A man and his wife are welcoming a couple into their home, and the man of the house would extend the hand to shake the hand of the wife. Instantly she's offended because she's veiled and she's not supposed to be shaking a man's hand. Right there he broke a rule. So it takes a while for us to correct these things.
Terror attacks like the Boston Marathon bombing may cause people to shy away from pursuing a relationship with Muslims. Mustafa says Christians shouldn't fear sharing their faith because Muslims hunger for closeness to God.
When a Christian person come and present to me the God that he loves and worships and live with, that is an eye-opener and a heart-opener to many of us. And we see today that when Muslims are offered the freedom to choose Christ, they do, by the millions.
And Christians don't have to read the Quran before witnessing to Muslims.
I think it's a lot more important for them to understand what the Gospel say, how to relate the Gospel to them, to the Muslims.
Mustafa says Christians should tell the truth.
Ask him about what is that God, who is that God you're worshiping, and tell them the truth. We don't worship the same God, and let me tell you why.
A follow-up DVD called Far From Home, A Different West will be available in the near future.
The big difference is one is designed for Joe Average in the North American pew. The other is designed specifically to give to a Muslim. It is going to be a tool that can be used to reach Muslims around the globe.
Most evangelism tools are created and presented by Western Christians. This one is done by former Muslims who now follow Jesus.
The Christian, they explain it in a Christian mindset, but now you have kind of a convert, a believer in Christ from the same background who understand exactly what they're going through because we went through it.
One that addresses Muslim misconceptions and questions about Christianity.
Well, as a Muslim, I always wondered, how could God stoop down and come as a man to earth?
I think the question is, why would God want to do that? The problem was resolved when I knew that God is not stooping down to the level of man. God loves man.
It's my neighbor, it's my coworker, it's my child's schoolmate. They're individuals who need Christ as much as anybody else, as much as I needed Christ.
A revelation replacing acts like this with more of this. Gary Lane, CBN News.
When you're driving along and your cell phone rings, do your eyes instantly go off the road? Then you need to get a grip. Hi, David Jones here with the new GripGo, the most versatile hands-free mount that will instantly grip any phone for safe driving. Just attach the suction cup to your windshield or dash, and GripGo grabs your phone ultra fast. Then it peels right off. And don't worry, there's no sticky residue left behind. The 360-degree pivoting mount allows you to always get the perfect viewing angle. It's even strong enough to grab and hold this expensive smartphone out the window. Yet it comes right off with ease. That's the advantage of GripGo. You can get the amazing GripGo with dashboard mount for only $14.95. We'll send you a second kit free. Just pay separate processing and handling. Get 2 complete GripGo systems for just $14.95.
To order GripGo for $14.95 plus processing and handling, call 1-800-709-5259 or order online at getgripgo.com.
Jim is 38, mortgage, married, 3 great kids. He wants to protect his family with a $500,000 term life insurance policy. What do you think it'll cost him? $100 a month? 60? 40? Actually, none of the above. Jim can get a $500,000 policy from a highly rated insurer for under $19 a month. His secret? SelectQuote. SelectQuote is impartial. They'll comparison shop the pick of insurance companies like these to give you a choice of your best prices. SelectQuote has great savings on term life for women, too. Jim's wife, Deidre, can get a $500,000 policy for under $16 a month. SelectQuote has helped make term life insurance affordable for hundreds of thousands of people since 1985. How about you? Just call this number or go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
Well, ladies, there is a new way to be pampered, save money, and spend quality time with your husband. A salon in New York City is offering hairstyling classes for men. The course includes 6 two-hour classes, and it costs $2,400. But the instructor says it is worth it. Husbands will learn to master a hairbrush and a dryer, which will save their wives multiple visits to the salon.
Once they know and have the rhythm of using the brush and the blow dryer, it's easy. Roll the hair into the brush, hold the tool loose, not so tight.
Got it. It's just doing stuff together. It's another activity.
I see smoke. Is that good or bad? Smoke because she has products on her hair?
Okay, believe it or not, the class could potentially save families a lot of money. A typical blowout costs about $35, and women who go multiple times a week, it could cost upwards of $6,000 a year. So, all right, what a way to save some cash. That is going to do it for this edition of the CBN News Channel. Hope you join us next time. Have a great day, everybody.
If you had a choice between going bald and a full head of hair, which would you choose? Advances in medical science have resulted in the world's first and only permanent solution to hair loss.
Yes!
You wash it, you cut it. It's your own real, naturally growing hair. When it comes to hair restoration, no one in the world has more experience than Bosley. The results look completely natural and are affordable on nearly any budget. But the entire process can't be explained in 60 brief seconds. So to find out more about this clinically proven and permanent solution to hair loss, call now to receive your free no-obligation information kit. It'll answer all of your questions about hair loss and hair restoration. Plus, we'll also send you this $250 gift certificate just for calling. Every day you wait, you're losing more hair. So don't put it off any longer. You owe it to yourself to find out the facts. Choose hair. Choose Bosley.
Call 800-868-9957. That's 800-868-9957. Introducing the CBN Bible from CBN.com. Now, an easier way to study the Bible and grow in your faith. Highlight your favorite verse. Read separate versions at a glance. Click and read a commentary. Or cross-reference your favorite verse using the Strong's Concordance. all the right tools to study the Bible, all in one place. The CBN Bible, available at cbn.com/Bible or the iTunes App Store.